Welcome to Three Crosses Farrier Company. I'm Caleb, and we're going to be walking you through shoeing Indy today. We'll be doing his front feet in this video. Indy's about 4 weeks overdue in this video, and you can see that in his hooves. His toes are too long, his heels have started to move forward, there's quite a bit of distortion in the hoof, and we're going to try to solve all of that in this video. The other thing that we're going to do in this video that I don't believe I've explained before is we're going to reset the shoes. So these are Advantage St. Croix. They're 5/16 thick, and Indy hasn't been doing a whole lot, and so the shoes aren't really worn out, and so I can actually do a reset. So I pull the shoe off, clean the shoe up, put it in the fire. If I need to make a minute adjustment, like I noticed maybe I was a little too close on one heel and the heel kind of came over the side of the shoe, then I'll open the foot up, open the heel up a little bit, or whatever I need to change, I'll do that and then nail the shoe back on instead of putting a brand new shoe on. One of the reasons that farriers do this is the sheer price of things in today's market is ridiculous. 4 or 5 years ago, we were paying around $2 to $3 for a pair of shoes, and today we're paying $6 to $7 for a pair of shoes. The other reason that we do this is it's a little less wear and tear on us, a little bit easier, and in an industry where it's our body that we're selling, like we only get X amount of horses that we get to do throughout our lifetime, being able to save a little wear and tear is definitely a benefit and allows us to work a little longer. So the St. Croix that I'm using here are 5/16 thick. In the past, I'm what they call a cold shoer or a cold banger. That means I didn't use heat to shape shoes. It's the way I was taught, the way I learned. I don't know that it was the best way. It's what I learned. So recently, I have been learning to hot shoe. And there's a lot of benefits to hot shoeing, but one of them is I can be more precise with my fit. I can shape that shoe to the foot without kinking it. So when a shoe's cold and steel's cold, I have to hit it super hard, and I put it in what we call turning cams, and they're two pieces of steel that are roughly an inch apart, and I stick the shoe between those, and then I hit it on the end of it and I bend it. That creates a kink, and in nature we don't have hard edges in nature. In nature, things flow and move and round. So we can't get as good a shape cold shoeing. You can get a decent one and do a pretty good job, but it's not quite as good as if you heat the steel up and then bend it that way. The other benefit to hot shoeing is I can use thicker steel. This shoe that I'm putting on here is 5/16 of an inch thick. A lot of the shoes that I'm using now are 3/8 thick. What that allows us to do is get more wear out of the steel. The thicker the steel, the more times we can use that steel. The horse can walk a lot further on that steel without wearing it too thin. And that's one of the really awesome things about hot shoeing is being able to move thicker steel more efficiently, and then also being able to reset that steel. So we'll actually save money. Even though thicker shoes cost more money, we can get 2 or 3 resets, or maybe more, depending on what the horse is doing. And we don't have to pay $6 or $7 for a pair of shoes every shoeing. Indy was not having a good day on this particular day. He was really making it hard today, and I'm not sure why. He's usually a very easygoing horse and stands pretty good for the farrier. Here where I live, we've had a really mild winter. It's been it was 50 degrees. I was shoeing in my t-shirt last week, and it's December. It's almost Christmas time. And with that, we live at a little bit lower elevation, and then he loses it right there. So I'd never hot set Indy before, and he does not like it. And add to the fact that he wasn't having a good day to begin with. And for everyone that's going to comment, this isn't hurting him at all. He's doing just fine. There's nothing painful here. In fact, that shoe isn't really that hot. I usually heat the shoe up quite a bit more to burn it on, but it's really not that hot. And you can tell that because there's not really that much smoke coming off, and I'm pushing really hard on it. If I had that shoe hot, I'd just touch it and it just billows smoke. A lot of times horses don't like the smell of the smoke more than just the, it's not really the burning sensation that's bothering them, it's the smell. And he was just not having a good day. He was nervous, he was upset. I'm not really sure why. And I didn't get a full contact burn. He wasn't going to stand for it. I've edited this video a little bit so you don't get to see him. He freaked out quite a bit more. But that was an okay burn. You can see where I had contact. I had contact in the heels, contact in the toe, and the quarters are floated a little bit, which I'm okay with in this case. You'll notice the pitch of my nail. By pitching my nail, I can determine where it comes out of, or how high it comes out. And also, we pitch the nail holes in the shoes to determine where the nail comes out as well. Checking my fit a little bit. You can see me running my fingers along the edge of the shoe, making sure that it hasn't slid back on me. I forgot to clean out the holes, the front holes. I had used the back 3 nails the previous time. I've changed a lot of things in the last couple of months, and one of them is I use the front nails instead of the back 3. If you go back through some of my older videos, you'll see that I use the back nail holes almost exclusively, and within the last 3 months, I'm not doing that anymore. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. There's some benefits. One of the biggest ones is by putting in a back nail, you hold the heels closed. They can't open as much, and so that can be a real problem. Again, you can see I'm pitching the nails. Now, one of the things that I'd like to note here, I would have liked those front nails to be a little taller. And what I should have done is back punched this shoe a little bit so that I could get a little bit more pitch to my front nail, because they're not quite fit right. But I didn't, so. Because you can see that one's pretty, that we want an ascending order. Theoretically, that front nail should be another 1/4 inch higher, and it's not. And I couldn't get it any higher because it wouldn't pitch anymore. And what I should have done is gone back and pitched the nail hole a little more. You can see the fit. That shoe's all the way around. It's got a little bit of a grind on it. I've had a couple of comments in other videos where people have said, well, the shoe's in front of the toe, that's not right. That's not correct. You want contact all the way around. You want to support the whole hoof wall, not just the back, the toe quarter back. One of the things some people will do is they'll take a foot and they'll bob the toe or 45 the toe. So they'll set a shoe on, set it back behind the lamini wall, and then just rasp off the excess. And I've been guilty of doing that myself. In some cases, in some horses, that's actually recommended, but not as a general practice. You want to fit that foot. I'm using creasers here. It's one of the tools that we use quite a bit, but instead of grabbing them with shoe pullers, I grab them with my creasers, and then the shoe stays relatively flat. Sometimes if I grab them with my pullers, I'll bend one heel up, and then I have to flatten it quite a bit more. I'm using a JH Forge knife here. It's a short blade, short handled, with a hoof pick on it. And I actually, in the next couple of videos, you should see my new tools. I've got a Salcedo knife now that I'm really in love with. Again, we're exfoliating all the dead sole out of the bottom of the hoof. And you can see here, he's just really struggling today. Indy was just not wanting to cooperate. And as I was saying earlier, we've had a bunch of moisture, and we've actually had some mild weather, and so we've actually had some grass starting to grow up, which is super random. Usually we're buried in snow this time of year. But it's almost like spring here, and I swear the horses are acting like it's spring. Getting the frog kind of sculpted and shaped up here, getting the commissures cleaned up, defining my bars. All of these are basic steps. I get a lot of comments in videos like, how do you know how much to take off? There's a lot of different things we use. We use the feel, the length. You can kind of see the topography of the hoof. You can see that line where I've uncovered with my knife. That line helps me know exactly where to run my nippers. And there he goes again. He's just having a bad day. I've actually edited quite a bit of this video. He jerked me all over the shoeing room and was really making this difficult. Again, run your nippers nice and flat, all the way to the heel. And we're taking the heel back because you can see where the heel was, and we brought that heel back underneath. That's super important. And you can also see the distortion in the toe. See how much wider the toe is beyond the lamini, and how much the hoof wall is how much wider the hoof wall is in the toe as compared to, say, that quarter right where my hand is. He actually, if you look at my thumb, this horse jumped and I banged the crap out of my thumb on this on the last set. I didn't actually leave that in. There was some profanity involved in that section of the video. But I smoked my thumb. In fact, it's still, a month later, it's still black and blue. Again, I'm addressing the distortion from the top. So trimming from the top is one of the ways that we say this, and I pulled it up a little bit. Sometimes if I have a horse that's leaning really hard on the hoof stand, if I pick the hoof stand up a little bit and make it taller, it'll force him to set back a little bit, and he won't be able to lean as hard on the jack. Not always, but sometimes it helps. Again, you want to come all the way back to the heel with your rasp. You don't want to stop. You want to get the whole hoof, get rid of all of the distortion in the foot. You can see the mark that I've made from the bottom, and I want to rasp all the way to that mark. And again, he's fighting me a little bit here. There we go. See, we got rid of that mark. Do a little bit of a round. Now I think he takes the burn a little bit better on this side than he did on the other side. He'd gotten a little bit more used to it, and I was actually able to get a little bit better burn. And you can see where the shoe's hitting by where the burn marks are. The idea is that we burn the shoe in until there's contact all the way around. That's the goal. And you can see that this shoe is quite a bit hotter than the shoe we did previously, the other side. That would be the right side. I struggle with right and left. I do better with north, south, east, and west. Right here, when you burn a shoe on, it creates just a little bubble all the way around. Like a little burr all the way around the outside of the foot. So I just take my rasp and I just kind of take that little burr off. horseshoeing is really about detail, and you have to be detailed in this industry. I'm taking out solar pressure so that when I nail that shoe on, the sole is not touching the shoe, creating solar pressure, which then can cause pain for the horse. One of the things I've seen, and I did when I was a young shoer. New shoers do it quite frequently. I did it when I was a new shoer. I would take them a little too short. I'd have solar pressure and the horse would be tenderfooted. And so that's definitely not recommended. You don't want to do that. So we try to avoid it. Again, we're using the front 3 holes. Putting that back nail in can cause issues with contracted heels. And so we don't want to do that. Again, one of the things, we're always developing. It's an evolution. It's a journey. What we start out shoeing, how we start out shoeing, hopefully is not how we end shoeing. I've been doing this 8 years, and I feel like I'm back in school again. I'm getting ready for my certification test, and I feel like I'm just like it's like a fire hose right now. All the things I'm learning and all the new techniques. And he was just being a booger on this particular day. It's really, really, really dangerous for a horse to be jerking you around when you're driving nails. Your femoral arteries right there, your hands there, my wrists there. There is a lot of important things that can be hooked by that nail as that horse is losing his mind. For everyone that has asked in the past, no, that scar is not from a horseshoeing accident. Unfortunately, it's a much dumber story, and I'll have to tell it one of these days. A little bit better on this. My nails are a little bit more in line. Still, that front nail's just a little low. I would have liked it to be just a little taller. You can see I could have rounded my toe out just a little more on the lateral toe quarter. In fact, when fitting the toe, as a farrier, if we're going to miss the fit by a little bit, it's usually in the lateral toe quarter. It's one of the things that I work on and that I'm trying to get better at. We're going to clinch the nails. Some guys do what they call gouging, where they take a gouge and they make a little trench right under the nail to set the nail into. It looks really good, but it also takes quite a bit more time, and on some of these horses it's really not necessary. And that should about do it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe.